Hello, my loves. How are you? I hope that you are doing so well today. If you are new here, welcome. My name is Nina. How are you? If you are returning, welcome back. Thanks for joining us again. In today's video, we're going to be talking all about what is in store for us in this coming new year, 2020. What's in store for us? What's the overall theme? What are some major themes that we're going to be experiencing in the year 2020? That sort of thing. So I'm going to be going through the elements, starting with fire signs, earth signs, air signs, and then water. Timestamps are going to be left down below. This is going to apply to your sun, moon, and rising. So, click on that whenever you need to. Disclaimer, this is just a general reading, okay? This isn't going to resonate with everyone, and that makes sense, right? Like, not everything is going to resonate with a large group of people. Pick whatever resonates with you, take what resonates and leave the rest, okay? If it doesn't apply, let it fly. And what else? There was something else that I wanted to say. This can apply to tropical and sidereal. So if you don't know what your sidereal birth chart looks like, you can go to astro.com and it'll give you everything that you need to know. There was something else that I wanted to say. It was a disclaimer. Whatever, I can think of it. It's all right. So let's just get right into it, darlings. We're gonna go into fire signs first. So let's see. I'm using Modern Witch Tarot, my baby. So let's see for you fire signs. What is up? So what's in store for the fire signs in 2020? What are the overall themes that fire signs will be experiencing? Ooh. Okay. I like this. Oh my God, fire signs. I'm so excited for you. So we have the Wheel of Fortune. We have the 10 of Cups. We have the Sun. We have the 5 of Pentacles reversed. We have the 9 of Pentacles reversed. And then we have the Lovers reversed. At the bottom of the deck is the Moon reversed. So I actually really enjoy this energy. So let's see what's in store for you, fire signs. Here's what I see. So there's Leo and Gemini energy. Obviously, not everyone is going to be dealing with a Leo or a Gemini, but that's just like the energy that we're seeing here. So a lot of like childlike sort of energy, being very bountiful, being very like loud, like very like entertaining sort of thing, very theatrical, very dramatic, fun sort of stuff. And Gemini has a lot to do with like communication, intellectualism, learning, that sort of stuff. So those are just like some themes of Leo and Gemini. But let's see. So we have the Wheel of Fortune here, which, people normally read this as like the good fortune kind of card or like the good luck card, which sure, it definitely is. This to me, the Wheel of Fortune mostly reads as like cycles ending and you being okay with the fact that you're not in control of everything. I feel that there's kind of this sense of you realizing that not everything is meant to be in your hands in 2020. And I feel that you have a lot of faith in the universe in 2020, which is awesome. It's good to have faith in the universe. However, with that being said, be careful of having too much faith in the universe and relying too heavily on the universe, because when that happens, there might come a point where you kind of just like blindly believe in something and think, I'll be taken care of. And then something not so favorable happens because you didn't back yourself up. You didn't have like a backup plan. So it's good to have faith in the universe, but also not just like have blind sort of faith, back yourself up and have a backup plan, that sort of thing. And I also feel that with this Wheel of Fortune and this 2 of Cups, it kind of just feels like family and community energy is feeling very happy, very good, and very bountiful. We have the Sun. I don't know if for some of you there's like a new child in your life coming in, whether it's like a niece or a nephew, like someone is like having a kid in the family, because this to me is like celebrating a new member of the family. So just saying. I'm just saying there's a possibility of like a new addition to the family, and it doesn't necessarily mean that you are going to specifically be, you know, having a child. But it could mean like someone in the family or someone that you know very close to you could be having a kid, and it's something that is like a big event in 2020. It's like a big thing that happens. Or it could just be like multiple people in your lives are just like having kids, and it's like a big theme for you of just like being around like new energy, like families building up and that sort of thing. Family life looks honestly really, really good and very happy, and that makes me very, very excited. Like this entire row, the Wheel of Fortune, the 10 of Cups, and the Sun, I'm all for that. Like that is such positive energy, and I even enjoy this 5 of Pentacles reverse, because this to me is you fire signs realizing that there isn't an end-all be-all sort of thing. And I feel that a lot of you realizing that you have other options to explore. You don't have to follow just this one specific path. I feel like you're opening yourself up to different possibilities and different choices and different options, which is really great. And I feel like by doing that, you're opening yourself up more to like the blessings that the universe has to offer. And I feel that you're changing your ways, because it could be that in 2019 you have been taking on the energy of the 9 of Pentacles reversed, right? Of, you know, kind of repeating the same old thing over and over again and hoping for different results. And that obviously didn't work. And so you were kind of constantly met with obstacles. And I feel that in 2020, you're finally overcoming that, fire signs. I feel that you're finally realizing your lesson, and you're no longer allowing yourself to repeat history. And you're realizing that you don't have to wear like these blinders, like those blinders that horses have to wear, like whenever like they're racing or whatever the fuck it's called, right? Like they have the blinders, and so they only see what's in front of them. They have like tunnel vision essentially. And I feel that you're kind of taking off those blinders, and you're seeing that there are more possibilities in this world than just what was in front of you. And I feel that is going to benefit you a lot. And I feel like you're realizing just different ways of approaching, like different ways to approach things, different ways of approaching things. Yeah. And then we have the Lovers reverse, which basically talks about like temptation to make the easy choice rather than the right choice. So it could be that in 2020, there is this back and forth of like you wanting to do what is easy for you, especially because we have this 10 of Cups in the Sun. So like this is all easy energy, right? And there might be times where you are challenged a little bit in 2020, and there's a choice that you have to make where you can't just go back to this all of the time, where it's like kind of like almost faking happiness in a way, in a way. I feel like you're realizing that there are just some times where you have to make an important decision, and the right choice isn't always the one that is like the most happy choice, if that kind of makes sense. The right choice isn't always a thing that is instantly gratifying. So I think that for you, fire signs, it's a year of you of like realizing that in order for change to happen, in order for history to no longer repeat itself, there are certain choices that you have to make that simply, like, won't be instantly gratifying, but it will help you in the long run, and it will allow for long-term success. Does that kind of make sense, darlings? So that's kind of the whole vibe that I have for you, fire signs. Let's see what else. Let's clarify this Wheel of Fortune. So what exactly does this Wheel of Fortune mean for you, fire signs? Can we clarify this? We have the Ace of Wands that to clarify this Wheel of Fortune. So honestly, this just feels like blessings on blessings on blessings. I feel that, fire signs, I feel that you're really taking initiative, and I feel that the universe is really blessing you. Oh my God, it feels so awesome. Like, I feel that there are opportunities that are making their way towards you. Also, if you're trying to get pregnant, because I literally have the 10 of Cups in the Sun. Like, if you were trying to get pregnant, listen, this is the dick card. This is like the pregnancy card. This is fertility. Like, if you're trying to have kids, I feel like that is something that is going to happen. Like, it is literally in the cards for you to have, no pun intended, but it's in the cards for you if you're trying to have kids, and if you're not trying, then definitely, you know, be mindful, be careful. We don't want like any pregnancy scares or anything like that. So be careful, protect yourself, do all the things that is required of you in order for you to protect yourself, to be safe, that sort of thing. Okay. But yes, the Wheel of Fortune and the Ace of Wands, I really do feel that there are a lot of really wonderful opportunities that are like fated to happen. And I feel that it's important for you to open your eyes to them, because we have the Five of Pentacles reversed. This is you realizing that you have other options to explore. Don't close yourself on just this one opportunity. Definitely be receptive to different offers, to different opportunities that are in front of you, that are presented to you. Don't just close yourself off to just like this one thing, okay? It's like, don't limit yourself to one stream of revenue. If you're able and willing to have different streams of revenue, then do that. That's kind of like an example. I don't literally mean that, although it very well could apply to you. But if you have the chance where you can have different streams of revenue per se, then go for it. Like, definitely do that. Don't be scared to like take any sort of risk or put yourself out there. Definitely be open to the opportunities that come towards you. And I also feel that it's important for you fire signs to not like speak too soon. Okay, don't be so loud about the opportunities that are presented to you. And the reason why I say that is because I have the Six of Wands reversed, which to me would be like working in the background, not having or not wanting the spotlight on you. And the reason why I say that, or like the whole, like, yeah, this is basically like you like working in the background, you doing things in the background without people noticing you, that sort of stuff. And I feel that it's important for you in this year to like, you know, work in the shadow, so to speak. Don't kind of display everything that is going on in your personal life. Definitely allow for everything to kind of accumulate, or for everything to like build up, or, you know, like work on things quietly and silently, and like on your own, dealing with it on your own, and not kind of just like promoting it all of the time, because I feel like that kind of like warrants some sort of like, not necessarily negative energy, but like, you know, the energy of people who might like be jealous or envious of you, and they might try to sabotage that, or might want to sabotage that in whatever way possible. So just like, there's something to be mindful of for you fire signs, just like be mindful of that. But I would also say with this Six of Wands, to not let your ego get the best of you. Because with the Ace of Wands and the Wheel of Fortune, it's kind of like, yes, there are a lot of blessings, but don't let it get to your head. Don't get cocky with it, because then that's where things go wrong. And that's where the blessings, you know, are taken away. And I feel like this is something that you are kind of going to be warned about with this Tower reverse, where it's like there's a warning about this and how it might lead to like, I don't want to say like the destruction of things, but it could lead to a little bit of a bump in the road if you're not careful in terms of like your ego and being very cocky or even arrogance. And like trying to display like all of this bling, or display like some sort of like status or reputation or whatever it is, like trying to just flex on them. Because I feel like that just might not necessarily work out in your favor. So, you know, just be mindful of that. But yeah, definitely kind of just like keep things to yourself. Don't let your ego get the best of you. Don't get too cocky with all of it. It's good to have confidence, but once you're just becoming cocky and, you know, just in that realm, it's no good. It's no good. So definitely something to be mindful of. I want to clarify this Lovers reverse for you, fire signs, in this new year. So can we clarify the Lovers reversed for fire signs in terms of what's in store for them for 2020? What does this Lovers reversed signify? It could also be that in 2020 you are faced with some sort of difficulty, whether it's material or not. It doesn't necessarily have to be money, But in 2020, you might be faced with like some sort of situation where you're trying to have some sort of different outcome, whatever that might be. And you're doing the same thing over and over again, hoping for a different solution or hoping for a different outcome. And that's just not really working. And that could be this could be what is tied with the Lover's reverse, where it's like you're trying to take the easy way out, or you're trying to like do the thing that's instantly gratifying. And the thing that's instantly gratifying is the thing that is literally an obstacle. So that's just also something. Like, I feel that what this is kind of saying is that you definitely have to put the work in to get what you desire. There is no option to take the easy way out. Oh, excuse me. I have something like not lodged in my throat, but all right, let's clarify this Lover's reverse. What does this Lover's reverse signify for the fire signs in 2020? Can we clarify this Lover's reverse, please? Jesus Christ. Okay. Bottom of the deck is the Devil. Ooh, see. So Capricorn energy. Also, what I wanted to say before I look at these cards, the Lover's reverse to me can also signify a loss of passion, and what I get from that is like feeling burnt out, especially for like Aries. Aries tend to get really hyped up and like really excited and impulsively get into something, and then like not even halfway through it, they lose motivation, they burn out, and they lose interest in the thing completely, and then they feel like unmotivated, and then they feel bad for themselves for like not being able to finish anything. But then it's like, yo, Aries, like you didn't even create a plan, like you impulsively went into this, what else did you expect, sort of thing. So that could also just be something that you might experience in the year 2020, fire signs. And if that's the case, the thing that you need to do differently is to create a plan for yourself. Okay, so we have the Empress reversed. This is all clarifying the Lovers, by the way. The Empress reversed, so this can be like a blockage in creativity, whether it's you are literally blocking yourself off or just like giving up on something. Interesting. Yeah, like a blockage in creativity, like the block of the birth of something new. So like there's a delay in some sort of creation. And then we have the Knight of Wands, which would be impulsivity. And then we have the Three of Wands reverse, which is overlooking certain details. Yo, I swear to God, it's like I'm psychic. And then the Devil here would signify like complacency, feeling really stuck. And kind of, I don't want to say like a toxic cycle, but like an unhealthy cycle. In which case for you, fire signs, this unhealthy cycle is basically trying to take the easy way out, which is giving up and running away, or giving up or losing interest and finding something else to do, and then losing interest in that, and then finding out something else to do, and then giving up on that. And then it's just like this cycle of like burning yourself out all of the time. So let's see. Let's like I said, the Empress reverse to me is that creative block, or delaying the birth of something new. Again, it doesn't necessarily have to be like a physical like thing. I don't really read it as that. This to me is the block of the birth of like a project or an endeavor or an idea or whatever the case might be. And I feel like this is kind of self-imposed in the sense that it's the burnout thing. Knight of Wands is the impulsivity. It's the recklessness. It's like being very passionate about something at first and then just like burning out. Literally burning out, losing interest or feeling unmotivated, or not knowing what other steps to take from a certain point, and so you feel stuck. And then the Three of Wands reverse is overlooking certain details. It's jumping the gun. It's doing things far too quickly. This also talks about a sense of self-restriction. Both of these cards, okay, so the Knight of Wands talks about independence, wanting independence, being free. This to me is like growing into adulthood. This to me is like moving out. And then the Three of Wands reversed is kind of the opposite of that a little bit, where it's like wanting to fly free, wanting to be independent, wanting to be your own person, wanting to learn, wanting to expand, but somehow feeling trapped, whether it's by another person, whether it's by some sort of circumstance, whether it's by a mother figure of yours, or some sort of maternal figure in your life, someone who's older, someone who is some sort of caretaker or caregiver. feeling restricted in some way. I also wonder if there's some sort of like disharmonious relationship with a mother figure, or a maternal figure, should I say. Because the devil is like feeling stuck, right? And then the Hierophant reverse is at the bottom of the deck, which is like basically saying how something needs to be done differently. And again, Knight of Pentacles reversed. Something needs to be done differently so that the same outcome isn't like produced. Like, you need to break from tradition in some way. You need to like break the chains of tradition, whatever that might mean to you. But yeah, Three of Wands reversed is the restriction, is the limitation, whether it's by yourself or by another person. And this just talks to me about like almost like being a little bit complacent. And that makes sense because Lovers reverse is like trying to take the easy way out, trying to do the easy thing, trying to do the thing that's instantly gratifying rather than the thing that is right. So that's just something for you to be mindful of. And that might be the thing, that might be the pattern that you need to grow out of. Fire signs. That might be the thing that you need to grow out of in 2020, is like that need for instant gratification, and also needing to grow out of the perspective that there has to be a very specific path that you need to follow. Like I said, Five of Pentacles reverse. This is you realizing that things have to be done differently and you don't have to follow a very specific and detailed timeline. If something doesn't turn out the way that you wanted it to, that's okay. It's okay to have adjustments. If you've tried too hard to be in control of every single detail, you only kind of like imprison yourself and frustrate yourself and stress yourself out. So that's just not really worth it. You know what I mean? So that's kind of like what I see for you, fire signs. Something has to be done differently. Like you need to break some sort of tradition or something that has just been always happening, even if it's like going against certain expectations, or going against what is expected of you, going against what is like societally accepted. Does that sort of make sense? And for some of you, you know, like the easy way might be like, okay, staying at home and doing, and, you know, going on that 9-to-5 job, but really you need independence. You need to do something different, right? And, you know, there might be a maternal figure in your life who is trying to hold you back, who is somehow dependent on you in some way and is kind of trying to guilt trip you and saying, well, you're the only person who takes care of me. Who else is going to take care of me? No one else is around, that sort of thing. And that's something that you kind of like need to grow out of. Like you need to kind of grow out of the nest and like be your own person and allow yourself to expand and to do things differently. With the Three of Wands reverse, that's that restriction, that limitation that I was talking about. So if that's something that resonates with you, fire signs, this is definitely the time to break out of certain chains, to break out of complacency, to break out of unhealthy or toxic situations, habits, beliefs, thought processes, relationships, jobs, whatever it is, whatever this might be for you. It's definitely time to no longer give into the power play, to no longer play the role that you've been playing this entire time. There has to be something that is done differently, even if it goes against what is expected of you, even if it's not like socially accepted, even if it's not like approved of any sort of way, if that kind of makes sense, you know? So that's what I have for you, darling. This entire thing kind of reads as like going past limitation, you know? So yeah. I think I'll leave it at that. I hope it resonates with you, fire signs. Obviously, you can revisit this video anytime during 2020 to see what has resonated or what hasn't, what, you know, has come to fruition or what hasn't, or any sort of advice that you wanted to hear, whatever it is, you know, you revisit the video whenever you choose and whenever you desire. If anything resonates as of now, let me know. Let me know any sort of feedback that you would like me to hear or that you would like to share in the comments down below. I would love to hear any of your feedback, any of your commentary at all. If you want to book a personal reading with me, you can do so at Twitter wait, what? You can do so at sinfulpluto.com. I'm currently doing a New Year, New Me service, which I'm going to keep up until like the end of January, where basically, like, if you want to know what's in store for you in the new year, what you need to be letting go of, what's in store for you, what obstacles you might face, how to overcome them, and advice, hit me up, hit your girl up. All the information is at sinfulpluto.com. I'm not going to be available in the next week, so maybe, not convenient, but like starting like in early January, everything will be back open, and I'll be available and all of that, so keep that in mind. If you like the video, give it a thumbs up, share with your friends, family, loved ones, or anyone who needs to hear this advice. Subscribe, hit the bell notification to know when I upload my videos. And if you want to find me on social media, you can do so on Twitter and Instagram at Sinfulpluto. And with that being said, my loves, I hope that you have a wonderful, wonderful, wonderful 2020. I'm so excited. It's a new decade. It's a new year. I am ready. I hope that you're ready. It's going to be a blast. So with that being said, I love you, and I'll talk to you later. Bye. Hi. It's the next day. So let's get into it. Earth signs. All right. So we're going to talk about earth signs next. So let's see what's in store for you in 2020. What is in store for the earth signs in 2020? What's in store for the earth signs in 2020? Ooh, okay. Eight of Swords reversed. First card to pop out. Eight of Swords reversed. So a sense of liberation or a necessity to do so. The Five of Cups reversed. Ace of Cups reversed. The Hierophant reversed. So Taurus, Capricorn energy. Queen of Swords, and the Sun. And then at the bottom of the deck is the Ace of Swords, or the Ace of Wands reversed, right there. All right, so let's get into this. Earth signs. I feel that 2020 might be a little bit of, what's the right word? I don't want to say tumultuous. It's not a tumultuous year, but I do believe that it's definitely a year that requires a lot of growth and a lot of work on your end. And I feel that you are definitely being pushed and encouraged to break out of really bad habits that promote complacency, that promote martyrdom, that promote a feeling of helplessness or powerlessness. I really do feel that you're being pushed out of that, and you're being pushed towards this Queen of Swords energy of speaking your truth, knowing what you have to do, and going through with the actions in order to do that. The Queen of Swords is someone who someone who is very logical, very quick-minded, very quick-witted. She finds it incredibly easy to make a plan and to go through with that plan without having any sort of like emotional strings attached, if that kind of makes sense. And it's not like it's not in a way where you're being heartless or anything, but this to me sounds like, with this Queen of Swords, is you being pushed towards this energy of knowing what you have to do and setting your emotions to the side, or your, I guess, fears or your anxieties to the side, and kind of allowing yourself to put on a brave face, if that makes sense, rather than hiding away this entire time. Because I feel like 2019, you might have been stuck in certain habits or certain mindsets, beliefs, opinions, whatever the case might be, right? I feel like 2019 was more of a year of the Eight of Swords upright, where you were definitely stuck in your own mind. You were trapped in your own mental prison, and you were the one that held the keys, and you were the only one that could free yourself. And so I feel that in 2020 you're realizing that you're the only person who has these keys. No one else can free you from like your own misery. No one else can free you from your own self-imposed limitations and restrictions and self-pity and woe is me sort of mentality. That's something that you can do all on your own, and that you have to do all on your own. And I think that 2020 is definitely going to be hitting you with that realization. Is it going to be easy, the transition? Not necessarily. It usually isn't, because we are so used to functioning in a certain way that when we are required to function differently or to change a pattern, obviously it's a challenge, because we're creating new neural pathways in our mind, and they have to become further ingrained in our mind, and that only comes with practice. But that's challenging when we're so used to following one specific path. Does that make sense? So I definitely see you being pushed to break certain chains, certain mental chains, self-imposed chains, things that are, it's a lot of self-imposed sort of, where's my other self-imposed sort of stuff, because that's all the Eight of Swords reversed, or the Eight of Swords is like self-imposed restrictions, mentalities, opinions, that sort of stuff. And I'm sure there is a reason why those restrictions and limitations have been placed on you, but you have to remind yourself that you have the power to put yourself in that box. No one is literally putting you in that box. We have to do it ourselves. Like, we have to go out of our way to get out the box that we put ourselves in. That's really what it is. Hierophant reversed is needing to break from tradition, right? Needing to break from the norm, whatever that might be. And I think that the norm is that Eight of Swords energy of the helplessness, powerlessness, complacency sort of thing. Kind of, again, woe is me mentality. So I feel that the Hierophant reversed really confirms that this is definitely a time for massive change. And it's not necessarily upheaval. It's not upheaval. Although, whatever, it could be for some of you. But to me, this is just like breaking the traditional, breaking what has been going on for so long, breaking the role that you have been playing this entire time, and creating a new role for yourself is what that is. And the Five of Cups reversed, this to me kind of talks about having to face a lot of repressed emotions that you have been pushing down. Maybe in the year 2019 you've repressed a lot of emotions, and they'll be coming up in 2020, or maybe this is kind of a lifelong thing where a lot of repressed emotions are coming to the surface in 2020, and you are definitely being pushed to face them, and almost obligated, like definitely being obligated to face these things. They're not something that you can run away from. It's something that you definitely have to face head on, and it might definitely be emotionally draining and emotionally depleting, right? Because it's a lot of emotions that are coming up. Ace of Cups reverse. It could be a lot of stuff that is coming up that is just really exhausting to deal with. But I mean, that's kind of what happens when you repress a lot of things or suppress a lot of things, and it all comes up at once, and you have to deal with everything at once. Like, it's kind of like an explosion of things in front of your face. And so, yes, it feels a little bit chaotic. It feels really exhausting, because everything that has been pushed down is now being brought up right in front of you, and it's not being done in like an orderly sort of way. Does that kind of make sense? I also feel like, again, there's a need for you to break this pattern of suppressing your emotions and repressing your emotions. Ace of Cups reverse and the Hierophant reverse. I really feel that 2020 is calling you to actually face the thing that you need to be dealing with, rather than running away from them, and rather than like placing the responsibility in other people's hands. I feel like this is definitely a year for you, earth signs, to learn how to take responsibility for yourself and accountability for yourself. And I feel that if you do end up putting the work, and you end up being honest, like brutally honest with yourself, Queen of Swords, I feel that the year is going to end up very well for you. And I think that the beginning of the year is going to be a little bit more challenging than the end of the year. I feel that if you put in the work in the beginning of 2020, you will definitely be compensated. You'll be rewarded for that. The sun here, right? Things will start looking up for you. And I think that, you know, the clouds will start to go away. You will get to see the sun again. Does that make sense? And I feel that 2020 is definitely a year for you to like slow down, right? Ace of Wands reversed. To slow down and to reflect, but also to go through with much needed changes that you have been resisting. And I feel that with this King of Wands reversed at the bottom of the deck that was under this Ace of Wands, King of Wands reversed doesn't take no for an answer, and it's their way or the highway. That's definitely the vibe that I get with this card. And so having this is telling me that you have been resisting this so much, and you're like, I want it my way. It has to be my way, otherwise I'm not going to do it. And that's a mentality that you definitely have to break from, because the universe will definitely humble you and make you realize that it can't be your way or the highway, and it just won't be your way or the highway. There's a sense of control that you need to relinquish in trying to be some sort of dictator. And the reason for that is like, the reason you are trying to be so in control of everything around you is because you feel out of control in yourself. And you need to fix that, okay? Because other people shouldn't face or bear the burdens of the things that you refuse to do within yourself. Does that make sense? So I feel that 2020 is definitely a kind of like a wake-up call. Definitely a wake-up call. And definitely making you realize that you can't be in control of the world around you, especially because you're not in control of yourself, and you need to be taking control of yourself and not blaming the rest of the world for your hardships or whatever the case might be, because it's not a one-way road where it's just the world or other people or other situations, whatever it is, just causing all of these terrible things to you. It's a two-way sort of road. And I'm not saying that you're choosing to like be in shitty situations, but you definitely have a choice as to how you react to things and how you manage and handle yourself. And I feel like a lot of you might not be handling yourselves properly. And you know what? That's okay. We're all human. It happens. Like, I get it. But I do feel that there is definitely a need for like major responsibility for yourself, taking on responsibility for yourself. Let's see. Also, the Ace of Cups is so interesting. The Ace of Cups reversed, this also signifies like wanting to avoid the deep feelings. This is like superficiality, like not wanting to go deep, not wanting to go in depth about anything. I really do feel that a big theme for you earth signs is just like this battle or like this opposition of like needing to free yourself from like the burdens that you bear and from all of this other like mental prison sort of stuff, and then not wanting to do that because it's hard and because it's challenging. And obviously, like as an earth sign, you don't necessarily like to feel things. You like to be practical and pragmatic, and emotions aren't necessarily like a linear thing. And so it might be challenging for you earth signs to fully embrace and accept your emotions and feel them out, but you absolutely have to do it. Like you have to break the norm. And by avoiding going deeper than what's at the surface, you only, not discourage, you only hurt yourself. Not like literally hurt yourself, but you bring yourself to a disadvantage. It doesn't help you in any sort of way trying to remain at the surface. So I want to clarify this Ace of Cups reversed for you earth signs. What does this Ace of Cups reversed signify for the earth signs in 2020? Can we clarify this Ace of Cups reversed? Ooh, Magician. And it came out sideways too. All right, so we have the Magician here, which to me is like in opposition. Like it's a back and forth sort of energy where it's like, this to me is knowing you have the resources to do something or having to realize that you have all of the resources to do something, but avoiding it for whatever reason. So this could be like, for example, perhaps some of you have access to therapy, right? And instead of going to therapy, you choose to do something different that distracts you, right? And that's kind of like a waste of your energy. That's an ineffective use of your energy. Because if you have the accessibility to therapy, if you can afford it, like if your insurance covers it, like if you have accessibility to something, it doesn't have to be therapy. I'm just using it as an example. But if you have that access, take advantage of that rather than, using other coping mechanisms that actually don't work for you and only promote this sort of complacency that you allow yourself to be in. So it's kind of this back and forth of like wanting to help yourself, but at the same time, not necessarily wanting to put in the work for whatever reason that might be, whether it's because you just find it challenging or because you fear the things that are going to come to the surface if you do that. And it's like, you don't know if you're ready for that. And I completely understand where you're coming from. But like at the same time, in order for us to grow as people and in order for us to learn the lessons that are required for us to learn, we need to go through the work. Like growth it's not an easy thing. It never has been. And whoever says growth is an easy thing is a liar. Like growth isn't meant to be like rainbows and butterflies. It really isn't. It can be challenging, absolutely. And it makes us face parts of ourselves that we don't want to face, or maybe parts of ourselves that we didn't even know existed. And the whole point is learning how to accept those parts of ourselves, being okay that there is a part of ourselves that is like that, accepting it and learning how to manage it and learning how to tame it and learning how to work with it rather than against it. That's just the reality of the situation. Like we cannot be continuing running away from things, because the more that we run away, the more we avoid and the more we delay our ultimate growth, So it's just, I understand, like it's a challenging thing as an Aquarius. As an Earth rising, as a Taurus rising, and as an Aquarius moon. Like I understand wanting to avoid feelings and just like wanting to turn off that switch, but we're not benefiting ourselves by doing that. Do you know what I'm saying? So let's clarify the Five of Cups reversed. To me, the Five of Cups reversed also signifies like an indifference to your emotions and indifference to like healing, or indifference to healing, right? Kind of trying to act like it's not there. You see it there, the elephant is in the room, but you're ignoring it. That's the thing. And so by ignoring the elephant in the room, it only leads to further build-up until it explodes in our face, like I was talking about earlier. So something has to be done differently. Swear to God, brother, I swear to God. This is one of those years where it's like you can either do the work and reap the benefits, or you cannot do the work and continue this just really bad cycle. Like you cannot do the work and have kind of everything explode and force you to do the work one way or another. Like that's the thing. So let's clarify this Five of Cups reversed. All right, bottom of the deck is the Knight of Swords. All right, Eight of Wands reversed. Yeah, this is two things. This is the energy of you not wanting to progress in your journey of healing, right? This is you trying to run away. Eight of Wands reversed is also you needing to redirect your energy elsewhere. You needing to redirect your energy in a way that is effective and productive for you. That's why this Magician is here. And it came out sideways. So it's like going back and forth. This is you going back and forth in like terms of your growth. This feels like inconsistency. This is like whenever things get a little bit too hard, you want to like give up, or you go into hermit mode and you run away. That's kind of the kind of thing. And then like over time, you get back out and then try to do it again, but then you get overwhelmed and you give up whenever things get a little bit hard. And then it's like that cycle of going back and forth. And the thing is like yes, it's okay to take breaks, and yes, it's okay to cut yourself a little bit of slack. But if you're running away because things are getting too hard, if you're giving up at the first sight of like a little bit of an obstacle or a little bit of a challenge, then that's kind of where the problem lies. Whenever we are in these times of a rough patch or facing some sort of obstacle, rather than running away as the immediate response, let's ponder it a little bit. Let's contemplate it a little bit. Let's fight against it a little bit. Let's go through this obstacle. Let's work through it, rather than that first instinct being, okay, I have to run away. Things are being hard. Let's have other people handle it. No, other people can't handle it. Like, not everyone can handle your shit, or our shit, really, because I'm part of this too. So it's definitely one of those things where it's like, we need to find that balance. I swear to God. But yeah, like, that's really, I feel like this is very, very clear. And like I said, I feel like if you do the work, Empress came out. If you do the work, then you'll end up with a lot of creativity. If you do the work, you'll end up with a lot of really great things. Empress and the Ace of Pentacles. I was looking at the Sun while I was shuffling, so I'm assuming this is to clarify the Sun. You grow a lot, and I feel that a big part that's needed is learning how to take care of yourself. And no longer depending on others to do things for you. Being your own person, being independent. Taking care of your needs rather than having other people try to take care of them, or relying on other people to take care of them, because that's not their job. It never has been and never will be. I'm talking about like an adult sort of thing, you know, like if you're like underage, obviously your parents require to take care of you, but like even then there are just certain things that are required of you that you need to take care of for yourself that other people and your parents just can't do. So anyways, this to me, and especially with this Ace of Pentacles, this is all about self-worth. And I feel that by the end of the year, there will be a stronger sense of self-worth if you do the work. That's the incentive. If you do the work, then you get all of this shit. Like it's actually pretty fucking great. But if you avoid it, then this is going to be delayed. Or you might miss your chance. So, do you know what I mean? So that's really what I have for you, Earth signs. I don't really know what else to say. This is really cut and dry, and I feel like this is definitely a theme of like just needing to work through yourselves, and it is challenging, absolutely. But we have to do it one way or another. We have to take care of ourselves because no one else will. Like, no one is going to do the work for us. We're the ones that have to do the work, so... that's what I have for you. I hope it resonates in some way. You can definitely revisit this video. I encourage you to revisit this video whenever is required of you, whenever you want to, you know, see what's going on, if you want a refresher on advice or anything like that, to see if anything has come into fruition or not. Let me know any feedback, thoughts, anecdotes, whatever you would like to share in the comments down below. I would love to hear all of your words. Give the video a thumbs up if you enjoyed it. Share with your friends, family, loved ones, or anyone who needs to hear this advice. Subscribe, hit the bell notification to know when I upload my videos. And if you want to book a personal reading with me, you can do so at sinfulpluto.com. Although I will say I'm going on a little mini vacation starting on the 21st and then up until the 3rd, 4th, 5th, around that time. However, I do have a new service up called New Year, New Me. It's on my website. You'll find it. Please read the description, like all of it, as to just what it is. And basically with this service, I'll be keeping it up until like probably the end of January, some shit. And we're basically talking about what you need to be releasing from 2019, what is in store for you 2020, obstacles you might face, how to overcome them, and then like overall advice. So if you're interested in that, go ahead and book a reading with me, okay? And if you want to find me on social media, you can do so on Twitter and Instagram at Sinfulpluto. And with that being said, darling, I will talk to you in the new year. I love you. Have a wonderful, wonderful, wonderful holiday season. Please take care of yourself. Put your needs first. And allow yourself to be free, okay? I love you. Bye. Hey, air signs. How are you? Let's just go ahead and get started with your 2020 prediction. So, let's see. What's in store for the air signs in 2020? What's in store for the air signs? Let's see overall energy. What are some big themes that they'll be experiencing in 2020? For Gemini, Libra, and Aquarius. Yo, that's so crazy. Holy shit, dude. Oh my god. Yo. Earlier when I was attuning to your energy, I was just like thinking what's in store for the air signs, right? And I was just like, shuffling mindlessly. And this was like before like pressing the button or anything. I was just like shuffling. And the Knight of Pentacles came to mind. And I was just, just thinking about how when I first got to know this card, or like when I was trying to understand this card, I remember this one time I was like meditating, and I just sat down with this card in my hand, and I was just like meditating, and I was thinking of the Knight of Pentacles and what does this mean to me? And here it is. Holy shit, dude, that's crazy. Wow. All right, so Knight of Pentacles, we have Strength reversed, so Leo energy. It could be you or another person, or just the overall energy of the year. We have the Eight of Pentacles. I see a theme here. Temperance. Nine of Swords reversed. And Two of Swords. Bottom of the deck is the Seven of Cups reversed. Air signs. Interesting. Okay. So 2020 for you, air signs, is definitely a year of needing to practice self-discipline and patience, okay? Knight of Pentacles talks about a long journey. It could be that maybe you're starting this journey in 2020, or this is a journey that you have already been going on or have already been experiencing in the past year or 2 or 3, however long you have been experiencing this journey, whatever this is, right? Maybe it's a self-healing journey or enlightenment journey, whatever this is, right? Whether it's like spiritual, emotional, job related, whatever this is, you're on some sort of journey in 2020, okay? That requires a lot of patience on your end. And it's something where at times throughout the year, you might grow really frustrated, and you might grow really restless because you want things to happen faster, and you want to have that sort of instant gratification, or like just know that you're on the right path, and you want to have that, like, you want it now. Like, it's kind of a now sort of vibe. But the thing about the Knight of Pentacles is that this does not grant short-term gratification or instant gratification. This grants long-term success. And I see that a big theme for you, air signs, is needing to learn how to sacrifice this short-term gratification for long-term success. That is like the quote that I have for you in this new year. Strength reverse is telling me that you might struggle a little bit with self-discipline. Okay? You might really struggle with self-discipline, whether this means signing up for classes, whether this means continuing a project, continuing a drawing, so to speak, or continuing something that you have started, right? It's lacking or struggling with that sort of self-discipline, especially when you are not seeing the results that you wish to see. The Eight of Pentacles, though, is telling me that you need to continue being on your game. This is not the time to slow down. This is not the time to try to speed up. This is the time to continue working at the pace that you have been working and doing it consistently. 2020 is a time where you might not feel instantly gratified, and you might feel as though you are not being entirely rewarded or acknowledged for the work that you're putting in, and that's okay, because you will soon. The reward that awaits you at the end of this Knight of Pentacles is always worth it. It is always gratifying, and it will make you realize, like, damn, this was all so perfect. It all happened perfectly. Like the way that everything happened, the way that everything aligned was exactly how this needed to happen. And I'm so grateful that I followed through with this journey. Again, self-discipline might really, really be an issue for you in 2020. And that is why, this is why we need to develop or implement certain things that keep us on our game, that encourage us to stay on our game. And we have to continuously keep our eyes on the prize and realize that it's not as far away as we might think, right? A year in the grand scheme of things isn't that long. It feels like it when we're experiencing it, absolutely, but look at how fast this year has passed. Look at how fast everything has gone by. A year is not that long. Like I said, it feels like that, yes, but in the grand scheme of things, a year isn't a long time. And this is kind of a message that I want to emphasize for those who have been working on something for, a while. I mean, maybe a year or two. This is a reminder that it's okay. It's not the end all be all if you don't have everything in a year or even two. Sometimes it requires a little bit of work. Sometimes it requires a little bit more than what is required of others at times. And it might feel unfair, and that's okay. But I think that this is definitely one of those things where we have to trust and have faith in the universe. I know that for me, as an Aquarius moon, I can relate to this in a sense, because there have been times in 2019 where I felt really frustrated and I wondered, like, when is it my time to shine? Like, when is it my time for financial independence and to reach all of the goals that I have been setting the intention towards and working towards, these past year, like basically year and a half, 2 years, something like that. Like it's been quite the journey for me. And I've had to remind myself and people have also had to remind me that this isn't a short game. We're playing for the long haul. And especially, for example, when you're building a business, a lot of the time, especially when you're starting from scratch, a lot of the time it requires a lot of work and sacrifices, and it requires time and patience because it's not something that happens overnight. Building a business does not happen overnight. So that's kind of how this personally relates to me. So I get it, but the Eight of Pentacles definitely tells me to continue doing what you're doing, continue the work, continue focusing on the details, continue fine-tuning your craft and just working hard. This doesn't mean to overwork yourself. Definitely don't do that. I would discourage you from doing that. Find a balance between work or social life and work, or personal life and work, because that is definitely required of you, okay? Don't go overboard. This isn't a matter of going overboard and trying to work like full time, like 40 plus hours every single week to try to, don't overwhelm yourself, okay? Do what you can handle, but don't push your mind, don't push your body, don't push your spirit, okay? The Temperance card, oh my God, it's so crazy. This card feels like divine timing or like divine alignment, and like how everything is slowly coming into play in the year 2020, and how like you will find your rewards coming in over time in this new year. Like I really do feel that. I also feel that Temperance is definitely saying to remain in alignment with your emotional and spiritual self, okay? It's important that we don't place our worth on material or social things, meaning status, reputation, wealth, public perception, that sort of thing. You know what I mean? Like, it's important that we don't place our happiness in that, because we end up only disappointing ourselves, and we only hurt ourselves, especially when we're kind of in a rough patch and, things might not be going might not be going so great. And we think to ourselves, wow, I must be like a really shitty person, or I must not be worthy of anything because I don't have this level of fame or recognition or reputation or whatever it is, right? And that's just not the case. it's important that we don't rely our happiness on that, and we don't place our value or our happiness on our accomplishments, because it's not helpful. And I understand in the society that we live in a capitalistic society, and just the world that we live in general, like that's a big thing. Status and reputation can definitely be a huge thing. And it's conditioned into us, it's ingrained into us from a very young age. And so, we can't help it. And I understand that, but we have to grow out of that sort of mindset, and we need to be catering to our emotional and spiritual selves and making sure that we are okay emotionally and spiritually throughout 2020. And we need to be catering to that. And we need to be making sure that we are not losing our practice, whatever that might be, whether it's meditation or yoga or journaling or simply being grateful for what is in front of us. I feel like this is definitely calling for us air signs to be a lot more grateful and to remind ourselves of our blessings and of the blessings that will be coming to us in the future and that have come to us in the past. Just being grateful for what is in the now, rather than focusing so much on like, oh my God, I have to do this and this and this and this and this, because at the end of the day, that doesn't help us, and it creates a lot more stress for us. We have the Knight of Swords reverse, which talks about overthinking and anxiety and how we need to overcome certain things about the future. This to me reads as not being so hard on yourself about the future, which is definitely something I can relate to. This is kind of what I was talking about earlier with the Temperance card. Nine of Swords reverse to me is learning how to not be hard on yourself when things don't go a very particular way. And I know that we might be very keen on paying attention to very specific details, and we want things to be a certain way, right? Because we have perfectionism. This is the Virgo card to me. So being very much a perfectionist, but it's almost like excessive, and I don't want us air signs to be so perfectionistic to the point that we are stressing, that we are losing sleep over it, that we are being really hard on ourselves, and we are practicing negative self-talk. We do not need to be practicing that. We need to be practicing gratitude and allowing ourselves to be present in the moment, to be living in the now, to be focusing on what we can do now rather than focusing on what we need to be doing a month from now or 3 months from now or however long from now. It's just not it's not our place to do that. And it just places more stress on ourselves, okay, air signs? So yes, it's easier said than done, but it's absolutely necessary. And it's required of us to do, you know what I mean? So that's just something to be keeping in mind. And we have the Two of Swords here, which talks about having to make a difficult decision and like being encouraged to not run away from it. Maybe in 2019 there was a major decision that we had to make, but we have been kind of avoiding it. In 2020 this is kind of like an unavoidable thing. It's inevitable. We have to make this decision one way or another. This is interesting. I wonder what this, I want to clarify this Two of Swords, but the Two of Swords basically talks about like taking accountability and responsibility for ourselves and not avoiding the thing that we have to do. Maybe this is in relation to the whole self-discipline thing that I was talking about earlier. Maybe this Two of Swords is saying how we really need to face certain things in order for us to push ourselves and to move forward, because I feel that for some of us, there might be a lack of self-discipline in terms of like making a decision or facing some sort of situation that has to be faced, kind of like avoiding it. This to me is avoidance. So whatever it is that we're avoiding and kind of trying to ignore and hope that it'll go away on its own, I feel that it's almost like we have to build up the balls to face the situation, whatever this is. And it might be a reoccurring theme throughout 2020, not just like an isolated sort of instance, but a theme in 2020 where we have to definitely work on like taking responsibility and accountability for ourselves rather than running away from the situation and or expecting other people to face the situation for us. This to me kind of talks about just like growing into adulthood. So the way that I think of this, I'm relating it to myself, but like learning how to like, I don't know, look for insurance or like how to pay for insurance or building up the responsibility in terms of like paying bills or getting a car or whatever it is, right? Like learning how to do that rather than having someone hold your hand and like do it all for you. Just something that, or it could be even in terms of like a relationship in your life, whether it's romantic or not, whatever this is, like it's something that cannot be avoided. And then we have the 7 of Cups reversed, which to me is kind of, this is like the overall energy. This is the underlying energy of it all. The 7 of Cups reversed tells me that like, this to me talks about how we need to be realistic and pragmatic and practical about our endeavors and about ourselves and about our lives in 2020. Now isn't really the time anymore to be caught up in cloud 9 or caught up in some sort of illusion or fantasy or like romanticization of something or some sort of idealization. 2020 is definitely a year where we need to be grounding ourselves and looking at the reality of a situation rather than what we desire to see. Because we cannot be allowing ourselves to fool ourselves, okay? This isn't the time to be selling ourselves a pipe dream or letting other people sell us a pipe dream. This is time to be using logic and being very objective and making decisions objectively rather than like through emotionally fueled sort of instances. And I think this is kind of also talking about like the shattering of the illusion that everything is going to come to us easily. Shattering the illusion that we are going to have a sense of instant gratification. If there's something that we want, we have to go through the long road. Like we can't take shortcuts. We can't take the easy way out. Like we have to do it. We absolutely need to. Like we need to build the self-discipline and the inner strength in order to build that up. Does that make sense? Like in order for us to be rewarded and to be compensated for what we desire, and that might feel like we might feel disillusioned by that, but like is required, you know what I mean? And I also feel that with the 7 of Cups reversed and the 2 of Swords, this is kind of saying how, we've been trying to ignore this thing for a while, right? And then reality really has to hit us and we can't avoid that truth. We can't avoid that reality any longer. Whatever reality that we have to face, we definitely have to in 2020. Like it's required. All right, so let's get into this 2 of Swords. Can we clarify what this 2 of Swords signifies for the Earth signs in 2020? What does this mean for us Earth signs? Okay, we got 2 cards. That's crazy. They crossed over each other. We have the King of Wands upright at the bottom of the deck. So it's taking control sort of thing. Okay. Ooh, Ace of Pentacles reversed and the 5 of Wands reversed. Okay. The Ace of Pentacles reversed talks about, for some of you, this could be like a financial issue that you might be facing. Excuse me. Give me one moment. So this might be some sort of financial issue that you have been avoiding, especially with the 5 of Wands. This talks about avoidance of some sort of confrontation. Maybe some of you have been avoiding a confrontation in terms of finances with someone else. Maybe this person like owes you money or whatever, right? So other people owe you a favor. They owe you something, right? And you have been avoiding it for whatever reason it might be. 2020 is definitely time to like directly confront that situation. And when I say confront, I don't mean it in like an aggressive sort of way. Like you don't have to be coming at this people like, yo, where the fuck is my money? No. You can do it assertively yet kindly. There's a difference, okay? So this to me is just like confronting certain situations that we have been avoiding, whether it's in relation to finances or some form of security or stability, however that might relate to you. Or this can even be something about self-worth, right? Doubting your self-worth, Ace of Pentacles reversed, doubting what you can offer to the world and kind of like avoiding any sort of introspection on that, or avoiding having the choice to confront the situation, but choosing not to, right? That's what the Ace of Wands reverse is like, thinking like, oh, maybe I should do this, and then kind of just like dodging it, right? So that's kind of like what it feels like to me. I feel like this has a lot to do with taking initiative for ourselves, especially with this King of Wands here. Taking initiative and like not taking no for an answer. This doesn't mean being a dictator and being very controlling and domineering. No. But this to me signifies not giving up at the first sight of rejection or at the first sight of an obstacle. This to me is still putting in the work, still, you know, confronting certain things, or still putting yourself in uncomfortable situations so that you can further gain from it in some way, or that you can do the thing that you have been avoiding for so long, whatever that might be for you. I want to clarify this Ace of Pentacles reverse. What does this Ace of Pentacles signify for the earth signs? For some of you, it could just be like learning how to be financially independent rather than relying on other people to like pay for everything for you. You know what I mean? Or like I said, it can be like some sort of discussion that has to be had in terms of like finances or something. And it's like a reoccurring theme. Okay, we have the Three of Swords that came out. So this is something about heartbreak. Maybe, and then at the bottom of the deck is the King of Cups. So maybe there's a King of Cups in your life, or this is just like an energy, whether it's like a father figure or not. There's a King of Cups that maybe hurt you, who produced some sort of heartbreak, and maybe that's why you will be kind of like trying to avoid or skirt around the situation, because it hits a bit of a soft spot, right? With this Ace of Pentacles reversed and with this confrontation with whatever thing that has to happen. Five of Wands is the confrontation that you're avoiding, but I also feel that with the Five of Wands, there's a need to make amends. There's a need to kind of let water be under the bridge and no longer drag the situation out, because dragging it out will just not help you. Avoiding it is dragging it out because it's still in the back of your mind, and you can't allow, and it's like you're not allowing yourself to live peacefully because that thing is just like always itching at you. So this is something that definitely has to be faced, you know? So I'm sorry if you can hear the noise. The trash people are here, the garbage people. So sorry. But I think that's what I have for you, earth signs. This is definitely a year of learning how to practice self-discipline and standing your ground and knowing how to put yourself first even. And I think just like learning how to face things head on and being patient with yourself and knowing that instant gratification isn't the name of the game. Okay. Long-term success is, and that's just something that you're going to have to work for, and long-term success doesn't come overnight, honey. So something to be mindful of, all right? Earth signs, I really hope that this resonates with you. Let me know if it does in the comments down below. I would love to hear any of your feedback, anything like that. You are more than welcome. You are even encouraged to revisit this video throughout the year of 2020, just to see what comes up for you, to see, you know, what has come to fruition, if there's any advice that will help you, to see, you know, whatever it is that comes through for you in the time of the year, right? This is a yearly prediction. So let's see what comes through for you. If you like the video, give it a thumbs up, share it with your friends, family, loved ones, or anyone who needs to hear this advice, okay? They don't maybe specifically have to be an earth sign, but maybe they just need to hear this. Yeah, subscribe to the channel if you want to watch more videos. I would definitely encourage you to do that. And share. I already said share. Hit the bell notification to know when I upload my videos so that you can be notified to when I upload. If you want to book a personal reading with me, you can do so at Sinfulpluto.com. Link is down below. I have a new service. It'll be up until the end of January. New year, new me. Please read the description. It's all about what you need to be leaving behind in 2019, what you need to be bringing into 2020, what's in store for you, obstacles you might face, how to overcome them, and advice. If you want to go through that service, book with me, although I will tell you that I am going on vacation soon, so you might have to book by the beginning of the year, but it's okay. Okay. And if you want to find me on social media, you can do so on Twitter and Instagram at Sinfulpluto. All right. Have a wonderful new year, my loves. Have a wonderful holiday season. I love you so much, and I will talk to you in the new year. All right. I love you. Bye. Hi, water signs. How are you? What's going on? Let's just go ahead and see what is in store for you for 2020. Let's get into this prediction. So what is in store for the water signs in 2020? What are the big themes that water signs will be experiencing in 2020? Cancer, Scorpio, Pisces. What is in store for the water signs collectively? What's in store for the water signs? Oh my God. Jesus Christ. Jesus. My goodness gracious. Okay. We have Temperance. All right. So Sagittarian energy. It doesn't necessarily have to be our own energy, although very well could be, but it's just like Sagittarian energy. We have Three of Swords. All right. Okay. We have Judgment. We have the Hanged Man. We have the Two of Pentacles reversed. And the Eight of Cups reversed. Bottom of the deck is the Moon. Right here. And then under that is the Six of Pentacles reversed. Okay. So overall theme is the Moon. Okay, so let's think about it. What does the Moon mean? Moon is Pisces energy. It's also Cancer energy because Moon is, you know, the Cancer is ruled by the Moon. But anyways, Pisces energy, okay? A lot of emotions. I feel that this year is a little bit of a purge, an emotional purge. I don't want to scare anyone off by saying that. It's not supposed to be a scary thing. I'm not trying to fear monger or whatever the fuck. But it's a little bit of an emotional purge that I think is required of us. Similar to earth signs, there might have been a little bit of repression or suppression, whatever the case might be. And things have been bottled up for a while, and there might have been some pain that we have not allowed ourselves to completely digest. And we have to digest it so that we can shit it out. That's really what it is. We need to digest everything so that we can finally release it and eliminate it from our physical, mental, and emotional bodies. So that is definitely a thing. And it might feel that in 2020, there's just like this looming sort of shadow or like this looming energy. And it's like, you know what it is, but you can't quite place it, if that makes sense. It's like, you know when you have a word on the tip of your tongue, but you just can't quite think of it? That's kind of what this feels like with this Moon card. Is like, you know exactly what you have to do, but not quite. It's that energy of knowing what's going on, but missing a piece of the puzzle or just missing something that gives you the whole picture, so to speak. And we have Temperance. And this honestly gives me a huge vibe of healing, especially next to this Three of Swords here. I feel that this is definitely a time for us to heal a lot of ourselves, heal a lot of our wounds. And the good thing about wounds is that they are healable. Okay, we can heal a wound. A wound isn't always going to hurt. So that's the positive side of all of this. Is it going to be easy? Probably not. It's a bit of a wake-up call, I think. And I smell pasta being cooked. Anyways, it's definitely a healing experience. I think 2020 is definitely going to be a healing experience. And I think that whatever emotions that we have suppressed or whatever pain that we have repressed in the past, I feel like that's coming up. Because if we haven't healed from it in the past, then we have to heal it now. So that might be a little bit of a challenge, right? It's obviously challenging to have to face some sort of unresolved pain, right? I get it. But Temperance is telling me how we need to learn how to balance this out and learn how to definitely be in alignment with our emotional and spiritual selves. And I feel that prioritizing our emotional and spiritual selves is incredibly vital for us in order to properly heal from whatever heartbreak, pain, or sorrow, despair, whatever it is that we have experienced, whether it's actually in 2020 that we will experience this pain or that we have already experienced in the past in 2019 or other past years, right? And I feel that 2020 is kind of a year for us to slow down a little bit and to just meditate, to be in stillness for a little bit and not place so much pressure on ourselves. I feel that spiritual spirituality in general is kind of a big thing for us in 2020. For us water signs, Temperance and the Hanged Man. This to me is all about learning spiritual balance, and I think learning how to sit in stillness rather than like rushing to get everything done, because the Two of Pentacles reverse talks about a struggle or a challenge with time management and learning how to prioritize certain things in your life. And I feel that some of us might be prioritizing feeling all of this pain or even resentment towards people, and it's like it's almost as though we were prioritizing being angry or resentful or holding some sort of grudge, when really we should be prioritizing the spiritual growth and looking at things from a different perspective, rather than from the perspective that we have been conditioned to see things from, or that we have learned to see things from, if that kind of makes sense. And yes, that requires effort, especially when we are not accustomed to looking at things from a more spiritual way. And this doesn't, when I say spiritual, I don't mean it in a way where it's like we just completely ignore all of the pain that we have been through. And that's not what I'm trying to say, but looking at things in a frame that is different from the frame that we have been looking at it before. So let's say in the past we have looked at things in a very resentful sort of light, and we have placed all of the blame on this person, for example. And we think that they are the worst person in the world, and they are this, they are that, they are whatever. And we have just grown used to using that perspective and placing all of the blame on this person. And the more spiritual, I guess you could say, perspective, or the more productive or growth inducing perspective would be one that requires a little bit of thought and meditation, and it sets our egos to the side. It makes us realize, okay, this person hasn't treated me in the best way, but is there a chance that I have allowed them to push through my boundaries, and have my boundaries been in the optimal state throughout the time of knowing them? Again, this doesn't signify us placing blame on ourselves or on the other person. It's simply taking a sense of responsibility and accountability for what we have allowed or what we have done or haven't done. It's learning how to not place blame or feel any sort of shame or resent or any of that sort of thing. And it's learning how to just accept what has happened and realize that you can't change the past, and look or create steps to move forward in a way that allows for you to grow and release the situation rather than holding on to it in our hearts. Does that kind of make sense? And so that's kind of what I feel that we are being called to do in 2020, is learning how to find the balance between that. Not immediately going to pointing the finger, but also not blaming ourselves or shaming ourselves for what we did or didn't do. Again, responsibility, accountability, that sort of thing. And I feel that in 2020, we're definitely required to rest, to not push ourselves to the brink of exhaustion, to the point of like no going back. It's definitely a time for us to just sit and to be present and to not be so quick to make a certain decision. Two of Pentacles reverse tells me that 2020 might be a year where we feel really overwhelmed with decisions, and we might feel as though we have taken on far too much, in which case the Hanged Man is saying how we need to take a step back so that we don't overwhelm ourselves so much to the point that we just like want to drop everything and just like disappear. That's not what we want. Hanged Man is kind of saying, like, telling me how we need to just sit still and contemplate and ponder certain things and search for that different perspective, like I was saying, that sort of thing. And the Eight of Cups reverse talks about how we might be stuck on the past in some sort of way, or again, it's this whole like being stuck on a certain perspective or something along those lines. Eight of Cups is telling me how we need to move forward, but we're kind of having a hard time doing that. this could be like literally moving physical locations, or this can be like moving forward in a more figurative way. It could be, I think this to me is like learning how to let go of a grudge. And the Judgment card here is telling me that 2020 is definitely kind of like a judgment sort of year, or like a wake-up call sort of year, where we're going to realize a lot of things and we're going to have a lot of epiphanies. And I think that this is kind of a time of forgiveness, learning how to forgive ourselves and even the people around us. This doesn't mean to forgive and forget. Never forget. Always remember. But learning to accept what has happened in the past, that there's nothing that you can do to change the past, and finding ways to move forward from that, rather than kind of continuing to be a dead horse with a stick, that sort of thing. And I feel that this is kind of a time, definitely a time of, it's not, I guess introspection is a good word, but it's more so reevaluation, or kind of reviewing ourselves and our actions, reviewing what has or hasn't worked in the past, and how we can fine tune that or better that in the future and in the present and in 2020 in general. 2020 with this Judgment card feels like being in a courtroom and people reviewing you, and not necessarily reviewing your crimes, but just like reviewing your past. You know how like there's that thing, or that kind of saying, or not even saying, but like that concept where when you're at the end of your life, like your life flashes before your eyes, and you're kind of like in that judgment moment sort of thing, and like God is like judging you, not like literally like you're bad, like not like judging you the way that we use the word judge, but like kind of just like judging your life and all of that sort of thing. Like, you know, that's kind of what it feels like. It's just like an overall review of our lives and like how we have conducted ourselves thus far, and learning from our mistakes, learning from our accomplishments, and taking all of the advice that we need, and taking all of the energy that is required, and leaving all the stuff that is not required, and going into that with a new perspective. It's all like a new perspective, and I feel like there's just a lot of stuff that has to be purged. Again, this is a huge purging for us, I think. And I think it's a time where we need to learn how to properly prioritize ourselves. And with this Two of Pentacles here, right? We have the Moon, right? But then we also, under that is the Six of Pentacles reverse. This to me refers to an imbalance. And this to me talks about like no longer allowing people to walk all over you, but also learning how to respect your own boundaries. This to me is learning how to find a proper balance and reciprocation, learning how to find a proper balance in terms of like social life and personal life, and learning how to just prioritize. This is literally learning how to prioritize, whether it's time management, whether it's like prioritizing certain emotions, prioritizing certain needs, whatever this is. Like this is a thing of priority, and learning how to find balance, especially with this Temperance card. Like there's so much balance here. There's so much need for balance and for it's not even compromise, but just like balance, like making the scales even, making the playing grounds even. And by doing that, a lot of review and stillness is required to see where we can like place the weights on each side so that we can properly move forward. And some of us might find it difficult to grow out of that sort of habit, right? We might find it difficult to, we might find it challenging, should I say, to create the new habit of prioritizing what needs to be prioritized first, because we're so used to not doing that, so to speak. So let's clarify this Eight of Cups here. What does this Eight of Cups reverse signify for the water signs in 2020? Ace of Swords and the Ten of Pentacles. Ooh, bottom of the deck is a star. Ace of Swords tells me that a new perspective. It's all a new fucking perspective. A new perspective is required. A new idea is required. A new direction is required. The direction that you're following right now, Eight of Cups reversed, or the direction that you're following right now, like with all of this, just isn't really working out. Like it's just not. So you need a new direction so that you don't feel so stagnant with this 8 of Cups reversed, or feel stuck in terms of where you're going. The 10 of Pentacles tells me that if you do that, if you work with this new idea, you'll reach this 10 of Pentacles of stability. And I also feel like this is kind of saying that you just need to walk away from your comfort zone. You need to walk away from what is comfortable, from what is familiar, and however way this might relate to you, water signs, okay? Let's clarify. I want to clarify judgment here. So what does judgment mean for the water signs? What does judgment mean for the water signs in 2020? I wanted to come out. Six of Cups reversed, dude. Letting go of the past, not repeating history. Let go of the past, dude. Letting go of certain childish ways, letting go of certain people, you know, letting go of certain circumstances or people or situations, whatever the case might be, for the sake of like good memories, or like wanting to go back in the past because it was easier back then. No, like we need to buck up. We need to stand up and realize that we need to, you know, grow up. Like we have to grow up. We can't linger in this 3 of Swords energy of like, woe is me, pity me, feel bad for me. Like, yes, we faced pain, but how long are we going to dwell in that? Are we going to dwell in that the entire year? That's boring. That's tiring. I would rather not. I honestly wouldn't. I would rather not. I really, really, really can't right now. Bottom of the deck is Star again, which is so funny. We need to find a new direction. We need to find a new North Star. We need to find something to follow, a guiding light, so to speak, so that we can properly move forward. And I also think that this is talking about how we just need to trust in the universe. How we need to trust and believe that there is a light at the end of the tunnel, and the universe will guide us to that as long as we are doing the work. This isn't something that is going to happen overnight. But judgment with the 6 of Cups reversed, this is telling us how we need to let go of the past in however way that might resonate with us, whether it's because we have been repeating history for however long it might be, whether it's because we are wishing to go back in the past for nostalgia's sake, whether we are, I don't know, like never wanting to grow up, you know, like Peter Pan syndrome or some shit. I don't fucking know, right? It's definitely a wake-up call that we need to grow up, that we need to grow out of old habits, that we need to walk away, that we need to move forward, that we need to do something more than what we are doing now. It's definitely a wake-up call this year of needing to balance for ourselves and needing to connect with our higher selves even. So that is what I have for you, water signs. I hope this resonates in some way. You can definitely revisit this video throughout the year. This is a year-long video. So revisit the video every once in a while to see what has come to fruition or what hasn't, or whatever advice, you know, will help you or can help you. I love to hear your any sort of feedback or commentary in the comments down below, okay? And if you enjoyed the video, give it a thumbs up, share it with your friends, family, loved ones, or anyone who needs to hear this reading, hear this advice. And if you want to book a personal reading with me, you can do so at sinfulpluto.com. I have a New Year, New Me service. I've explained it in the other things and other clips, but basically, New Year, New Me. I'll be having it until I'll be having it up until like the end of January probably, and we're just going over like what's in store for you in 2020, what you need to be leaving behind, what obstacles you might be experiencing, how to overcome them, and overall advice. So if you're interested in that, book with me, okay? But I will say that I am taking like a week and a half break from the 21st all the way until like the 5th or some shit. So just keep that in mind. But you can definitely book with me in the beginning of the year. And if you want to find me on social media, you can do so on Twitter and Instagram at Sinfulpluto. Subscribe, hit the bell notification when I upload. And with that being said, I will talk to you later. Have a wonderful, wonderful holiday season, my loves. Please take care of yourselves. Drink lots of water, meditate, journal, do all the things. Have a wonderful 2020, okay? I love you, and I'll talk to you soon. Bye.